Let's talk about Friday freight. Are the rates going to go up? We'll talk about it right after this. Stay tuned. Oh, yeah. Good morning. It is August 2nd. We are in August. Man, this week has flown by. And yeah, it's been a adventurous week. I don't know. I woke up Monday morning, went to bed, and next thing you know, it's like Thursday, and then it was Friday. Like Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday just kind of disappeared. Yesterday, I had to actually recharge my headset because, man, I was on the phone all day. Yesterday was kind of brutal looking for freight. It was. I'll get into it here. Let me. The notifications go out. Yeah, I know that YouTube hasn't been favoring me here lately because of my lack of consistency. Right lane. I thought you were going to touch base with me this week. I see you there. So good morning. I hope all is well. There's a couple of FreightWave articles. I don't know if I can get that up here. Basically, you had Werner and Schneider telling us that they see it's funny. You got where is it? FreightWaves. There you are. You have Werner and Schneider saying, "Hey, man, things are looking up." Oh, let me get rid of the windshield here. Man, things are going to look up. Things are going to be great, and but they're afraid to say that things are improving, right? That like, oh, there's signs of inflection. There's signs that things are starting to turn around, but they don't want to sit there and say, okay, let's go, because they know that everybody and their mother is going to jump in again and kill everything, right? So what I look for is there's a couple of signs when rates are getting ready to bounce, not like permanently, but like at least temporarily. I had a couple of brokers, not one, but a few, that have told me that whenever they know that volumes and they know that when volumes and rates are going to come up, they will try to drive the rates down like very forcibly. And one of the signs that I see is that you start to see a lot of van with team loads. And I was seeing a lot of those yesterday. And what that means is they're waiting till the absolute last minute. They're not really increasing the rate, but they're waiting till the last minute, and then boom, now it's got to be a team load because it's 800 miles. It's got to be done in one shift, right? Stuff like that. And a lot of these companies, it's funny. Let me show the screen. Right lane, yeah. I will talk with you today or tomorrow. Preferably today. It's Friday. So, it's interesting. You get C.H. Robinson's earnings surprised to the upside. Why did that happen? Because they laid off a bunch of people, so that makes the numbers look good, right? New Jersey Trucking Company files for Chapter 11. I think we talked about that. Landstar sees stabilizing trends, still awaiting truckload market turn. Werner says revenue's down. It's all over the place, right? Werner CEO Leathers say freight market inflection point may be close. And then something about FedEx rebranding their vehicles and stuff with new logo, so that costs money. Like, why would you rebrand and redo your logo if it costs money? I don't know. Lay off your workers and then change your logo, and where you have to re-sticker all your vehicles, including airlines. A lot of changes going on, right? And if you're not keeping up with it, you might sit there and say, well, this has nothing to do with me, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, that's fair. Maybe you just want to focus on you, but I will say that for me, the problem with social media and news sites, I don't care if they're legitimate industry or social media like Facebook or whatever, you're embedded with all this information over and over and over and over. And so when you have to sit down and evaluate, okay, should I buy a truck and enter the market? You have to really hyper-focus on your own individual self and evaluate, okay, how can I survive any market? How can I make this work regardless of what's going on with the rates? And that's your foolproof plan. Well, it's not really, nothing's really foolproof, but that's a great place to start. How efficient can I be? Can I bring my costs down? And a lot of people buy trucks already in debt. Like, they have all this debt already, and then they buy a truck, and then they can't afford the $10,000 repair that comes along. I've seen people start off their owner-operatorship, and they can't even afford small repairs like a tire or a battery. And throwing debt after debt is not, it makes, I'm not going to say it's not impossible. I'm just saying it makes your journey a lot more difficult because you have a lot of obstacles already with the system that's in place. And to come out, that's like you're getting ready to run a race. We're all into Olympics, right? You're getting ready to run a race, right? And you got the guy next to you, he's got his t-shirt and shorts, and the $3,000 Nikes, and then the other guy next to you is doing the same thing, and you show up, you're in jeans and a t-shirt and cowboy boots and a backpack, and you think you're going to run a race with these people? That's essentially what you're doing. That's the analogy I'm giving you. You got to be able to go out the gate. And you can sit there and think, well, okay, if I get a good running start, eventually I'll catch up to these people. Well, if it's a sprint, you're never going to catch those. They're going to be on to the next thing. So it's important to make your operation and your mindset, make that first. create the foundation. Because, let's say you're trying to cure some debt, or you're trying to cure, you're trying to I became owner operator because I'll make more money than a company driver. Well, you got to do that math first, because for some people that's not true. If you can get a truck for 30 grand and it has a warranty and your credit cards aren't maxed out, then you have a fighting chance. But if you're showing up with, I don't know, you don't want to give yourself a handicap, because there's so many things that you're going against already. You're going against the mega carriers. You're going against the mega brokers. You're going against the other drivers that can run for 80 cents a mile or are willing to run for 80 cents a mile, not realizing that they're slowly going out of business. That's your competition. So that's kind of where we're at, right? It's just common sense. I mean, if you want to open a brick and mortar store, you would need a business plan. You can't just go to the bank. Like, I can't just go to the bank and like, hey man, I need 50 grand. Well, why, sir? I'm going to open up a record store. Okay, what's your business plan? Buy records and rock out and hope that people show up. They're going to laugh me out of the bank, right? Be it so many people start a trucking business doing the same thing. I'm going to get me a truck and I'm going to rock out. No, do some research, do some math. So, anyways, let's get to the comments, and then we'll start looking at load boards. My name is Nobody. Good morning. Grafton, what's up? Greg Zimmer, good morning. Steve. Greg is a long-distant friend now. I have not talked to him in a long time. Pigtail, good morning. Chief Freight Hauler, good morning from a rest area. Not sure what state I'm in. Ah, yes. I used to remember those runs. David Riverman, good morning. You're in Iowa. Yeah, they all look the same. Once you're in Iowa, Nebraska, it all looks the same, right? Gary Cook, good morning. Right lane, going mobile. Jerry here. I remember. Need to chat with you today, tomorrow, please? Yes, absolutely. Chief Freight Hauler, today is the first day of the Sturgis Rally. Hopefully traffic's not too bad when I slip through. There you go. I've been up there during Sturgis. I remember I was going through that area. It was back when I was company driver. I'm like, wow, man, there's a lot of motorcycles. What's going on? And then that's when I learned, oh, it's Sturgis. Okay. 1,200 available loads in the market. I'm in. Always winning. Knowing your lanes is so profitable. Yes, freight trucking. Absolutely. But also knowing how to manipulate any lane is an important skill as well. James G., what's up? Right lane, I don't believe brokers have the ability to drive rates down. I do see them playing hardball too long, however. Yes, that's kind of what I'm talking about. I'll give you a perfect example of one of the things I dealt with yesterday. So there was a load posted on the load board for $2,600. So I emailed the broker, and he says, yep, it's this, and this, and it's paying $2,800. So I'm like, all right, cool. They're already coming up. Now, the lane normally pays a little bit more than that. So I asked for a little bit more than that. So we're at $3,000, right? He goes, well, let me see if I can get, so I don't hear from him. So I call him, because his information is in his signature. And he goes, oh, I'm so glad you called. And he was really slow talker. He's like, yeah, I'm so glad you called. Yeah, let me talk to the customer. I think I can get you $3,000. If not, would you do it for $29,000? I'm like, yeah, I'll do it for $29,000. Anyways, he goes, give me about 30 minutes. Now I'm having Landstar flashbacks, because when I was at Landstar, I called on a load. If they didn't truly have the load, if they were getting it from another broker, it was always like, give me 15 minutes. I'll see if it's still available. Then they call back, no, it's gone. Or it came back with a lower rate, right? And I know that some broker-shipper relationships are like that. I know in the flatbed world it's more common, but anyways, so I'm being patient at this point. And half an hour later, I have to email the guy. I'm like, hey, man, any word on this so I can see if I got to cover my truck? And they're like, yeah, man, the customer called me and said they were able to cover it for $1,900. $1,900 to go from Oklahoma to Orlando, Florida. I was mad. I was like, someone undercut me by $1,000 to an unsustainable rate, because I don't know if you guys have seen the rates coming out of Florida. I've managed to do okay with the trucks I've sent to Florida, but I had to get it going in. And so every time I hit, there are times when I hold the line, and that's why I have a little bit of trouble booking a load. But yesterday it was constantly that. I wasn't even holding the line. It was more like, that load's gone, that load's gone, that load's gone, right? And so at one point, I emailed Landstar. They had a load. And they did the same exact thing to me that they do every single time what I did 10 years ago. Yeah, that load's gone. It's not available anymore. And every time I called on a load, it was gone, it was gone, it was gone, it was gone, it was gone. And meanwhile, my normal brokers didn't have anything. My other normal brokers that were begging for trucks, I didn't have anybody in the area. It was all jacked up. Yesterday was a bit of a challenge on my patience. But a lot of it was ridiculously low pricing as well. Like the $1,000 under. There'd be a lane that showed, on 123 it showed like $3,000. On DAT it showed, 29 or 31 on the 15-day, and they've got it priced at 22. They're not coming up. They're firm. A lot of brokers were emailing back firm, like they didn't want to negotiate. And then all of a sudden I'm seeing a lot of van with team loads. Like they're having trouble covering these, which is good news, because that means that they're going to have to come up on the rates a little bit to get this stuff moved. Chief Freight Hauler, best way to survive toughest market is to be debt-free. Yes, I agree with that statement. What's a good adhesive for the dash cam to the front windshield? You buy those 3M plastic interlock strips. They're like Velcro on steroids. And then you put a little bit of crazy glue on the back of them, put them on. But in this kind of heat, it's a challenge for any adhesive. James G says, I'm experiencing lower freight volume with my customer. Remember the mutual friend who said debit is king? LOL. Debt is king. Yeah. I make less money as an owner op than I did as a company driver. And that's a harsh reality that and look, not all owner operators are in that position, but I did it for the freedom of being self-employed. But I knew that in order to do that, I had to keep my costs down. You can't sit there and choose how and when you want to go and call yourself self-employed if your truck payment's like, $1,000 to $1,500 a week. So, Shannon, good morning. WCF Invader, just 1 month left. I did not see your video on your Liberty channel. I'll go back and try to listen to it. I can't do anything for more than 5 minutes without being interrupted, so that's been the challenge. There's a book that I'm reading that it's taken me like 4 days to get through one chapter, because there's always something interrupting me. Good morning from somewhere in Oregon. Being all mysterious. Good to see you, Sterling. New here. Yes. Rest in peace, Logic Neo. Yeah, I heard about that. Mr. Bill Hunter passed away suddenly Saturday. Did they ever say what it was? Sounds like they found a driver that lives in Orlando, hasn't been home since Christmas. Okay, so someone else brought that point up too, Cheap Freight Hauler. But here's the thing. If you know your lane, you know that you can get paid. Like, he posted it for 26. So why wouldn't you call the broker and say, okay, I'll do it for 26? Like if you're look, I've been in that position where, okay, I'm not negotiating because I don't want any possible me not losing this load, because this is the unicorn I was looking for. With that being said, could have taken it for 26. But no, they went 1,900. So, and why would the broker tell me that? To rub it in my face, to sit there and be like, oh, this will tick him off. He could have just said, oh, sorry, that load's been covered. I apologize. But no, oh, they got it covered for 1,900. What did you expect me to do? So I'll do it for 15? $1.50 a mile to go into Florida? I don't think so. But that's what I was seeing. I was seeing a lot of $1.50, $1.60s, $1.70s to go into places like Florida. $1.80 to go into New Jersey. And if you want to go west, there was one load paying $1.95 going to Washington. Not that I was going to send my truck there, but which, I looked at it and it had like 5 stops on it. WCF says I'm booked up through August 16th. Mark Ely, I just had my best month this year. Gross 40, net 23. Awesome. Josh, what's up? Heart attack while en route to the hospital for back pain. Wow, that's sad. Yeah, I heard it was sudden. He was big into cruising and all that. So, well, rest in peace to him. Let's see. So let's go to low board stuff. I'm not going to sit here and read you FreightWaves articles. I know I've done that a couple of times, but I mean, I like FreightWaves, but this information really, does it help you when I do that? Basically I read an article and I give you my thoughts. And right now my thoughts are, you know what, let's just concentrate on the freight, right? Let's just take a look at the loads and see what we're going to see today. All right. So let's do a search. Let's do my hometown here. What if my internet's slow? No, it's showing a good signal. Springfield. Look how many Springfields are. Isn't that ridiculous? All right. Let's see what loads are picking up today. Search. And then we'll do the hot market map. Highest paying load coming out of Springfield right now. Overall rate. Now, if you guys are new here, which I doubt it, first I look at overall rate. That usually brings up your longer haul because the rate per mile is lower, but the rate is higher. So it might be $4,000, but it's going all the way to Washington State. Whereas if you do rate per mile, that brings up a lot of the short haul. And then you try to meet somewhere in the middle. So it might be $3 or $4 a mile, but it might be only 100, 200 miles. So you're looking at like $500, $600, $700. So that's why I bring up both. And then you try to meet in the middle. By that, I mean, you're looking for that 300-mile run that's paying $1,000 for the day. So that's kind of what I do. Here we go. Now they have not been paying to California for a long time. $1.58 to go to California. $1.44 to go to California. There was a load on a major click-and-go brokerage. I won't say who it was, but it was a load picking up in Tulsa going to Harrison, New York. It had 3 stops. First stop was in Philly. The second stop was in the Bronx. And the third stop was in Harrison. They were trying to push that for $1.80 a mile. That was the kind of day I was having yesterday. Here we go. Springdale, Arkansas to Camilla, Georgia. $2,000, $2.52 a mile. HTS Logistics. Posted 27 minutes ago. Picks up at 3 today. Delivers 8 a.m. Tuesday. See, that's the other thing. So this is a 2-day run. 793 miles. And But look at that extra day. So $2,000 for second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth for 5 days. No good. Not only that, but let's say you pick this load because you like self-abuse. So you look at this 3 p.m. Let's say you get there at 2:58. You find out that the load's canceled. Hold on a second. All right. See what I'm talking about? Can't get interrupted. So now you're scrambling to find a load out of Springdale at 3 o'clock on a Friday. So guess what? It becomes a bit of a challenge. So I don't like afternoon appointments on Fridays because that's when you can get burned. I can't tell you how many times the drivers call me, "Hey man, my load just canceled," and it was like 4:30, and they can't move because there's nothing. So it picks up at 3 p.m., delivers 8 a.m. Tuesday morning. Now it's a grocery item, so obviously they probably can't move that appointment. You can't just show up, play dumb truck driver. And by that I mean you show up and you go, "Man, my dispatcher said it delivers today." You can't do that with a lot of, receivers like Walmart or Cisco or, places like that. 211 to go to Gainesville, Florida. $1.89 to go to Bedford, Ohio. Now the rate per day on a couple of these aren't bad if it's a truly a 2-day run, but these are all going to be 3-day runs. Like here's another one, Fort Smith to Meridian, Mississippi. Let's look at this one. Number one, it's 140-mile deadhead, and it was supposed to have been picked up at 7 a.m. So this load's either not there anymore or it's late. And then this delivers Monday at 6 a.m. Well, it's only 485 miles. So if you need a restart, this is a good load. Or if you live in Mississippi, this is a good load. But you'd want a little bit more, but then that's still not going to cover your daily rate. It's just not. And they're not going to pay extra for that. If they do, then you find that if you find that broker, then you serve that broker. Now here's 271 to go to Sterling, Colorado from Mountain View, Missouri. Just got posted. And but then you're going to struggle to get out of there. So let's see, for a good rate. Again, this is a weekend, 830 miles. Sterling's a little bit from Denver. So I'd want to know the mileage from Sterling to Denver because more likely you're going to deadhead there. You might get lucky and get some out of Kansas, like Hutchinson or a place like that. So let's see. Chief Freight Hauler says, I had a similar experience with CHR this week. Offered $22.50 on a load that similar loads on DAT was posted for $1,900. CHR said they had an offer at $1,475 and I could book if I made a better offer. I normally don't get that tactic from them. I usually get that from other brokerages. But, that's why these book it now things can be a detriment, because I have literally been $500 and $600 and $700 above the book now price on some of these book now brokerages websites, simply because I made a phone call and asked. And there's been so many times where I'm on the phone with my guy and he's like, oh man, someone just booked it online for, $300 less. There are some things that I won't even bid on if I know that the bid's already low. Like for example, JB Hunt, you could see what other people are bidding, right? And that's on purpose. It's not like Uber where you bid on an Uber load and Uber's like, yeah, you didn't get it. They don't tell you by how much or nothing. Or they don't like, well, you're not the lowest offer. They don't tell you any of that. They just say yay or nay. Or they counter. And what I've seen with JB Hunt is like, oh, this looks like a good load. I'm going to bid on it. And then I look, the lowest bid is like $1.60. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, dude. That person can win that load. Because I don't know if you guys done the math, but it's more than $1.60 a mile at 2,500 miles a week to run a truck. Or it's more than, I don't know, cost per day. That's a whole different topic, but yeah, that's what you do. You just, if they're going to play that game, you just, okay, call them. If you said 2,900, they gave it to someone for 26, and they told you they took it for 19, trying to get an extreme rate cut from you. No one bid 700 less than broker posting. Right. It was a BS tactic. It was a BS tactic. And he wasn't even trying to, like, he wasn't like, if you can do it for 18. And, and here's the thing, cents per mile. I've actually heard, and I've seen it, where you call on a load. Let's say I call on a load. Hey, I'm looking at this load going from here to here. And they're like, well, I just booked it. Oh, well, what'd you book it for? Because I'll do it for less. There's a lot of that going on as well. And I have never, ever done that. Because I won't, because if the broker knows that can happen, maybe that's why they're not inspired to take the posting down sometimes. Because they want somebody to call like, oh, what'd they do it for? Oh, did they do it for 26? I'll do it for 25. So they call the other carrier and they're like, oh, sucks for you. The load got canceled. And then they give it to me. Well, I wouldn't want to work with a broker that would be willing to do that. Why? Because how do I know that won't happen to me? Maybe some other dude says, I'll do it for 24. And then it's like that TV show Shipping Wars. It's like that. At some point, everybody goes so low that people start bowing out on every load. Screw that. I mean, it's essentially what we're all doing to a certain degree, but there are brokers that need to move loads as efficiently and with as much profit margin as possible, but within reason. Those are the brokers that you want to work with. If they're getting their 10% profit margin and they're able to move the load with a quality carrier because they're not trying to make a 40% profit margin, then that's the best scenario. Those are the scenarios I'm looking for. Now, Chief Freight Hauler says, Georgia is the new Florida. Get your money going in. They are not paying to go into Georgia right now. Some of them are. Like here's one for 221 going to Tifton. 252 for the Camilla. 211 though to Gainesville, Florida. Because if we go to load availability, let's take a look at Georgia here. Switch this to van. Let's see. Let's do this by rate per mile. All the highest rate per mile is going to go into Florida. A couple going to Alabama, but see, look, 600, 700, 500. Here we go, 1,300 to go to Loxley from Jackson. Let's take a look at that one. But that's not until August 4th. It picks up Sunday, delivers Monday. It's actually not a bad load. Hazmat. There you go. Every time I see a decent rate, it's something multi-stop or hazmat. Makes you think, specialized. That's the way to go. Florida, Alabama, South Carolina. See, these are all $500, dollar loads a day for the day. Some people can't survive on that. Conyers to Charlotte. So let's do the highest rate. That'll give us a more accurate what the rate per mile is at. $1.58 to go to Washington. $1.84 to go to Denver. See, not even breaking $2 to go to Denver. So if you grab this load, you're going to get about $1.40 to come out of Denver. So if your costs are like $2 a mile, that's a lot of miles to be under your costs. Right? Do that too many times and you're out of business. You're maxing out credit cards. You got a truck repair you can't afford. $1.33 to go to Arizona. $1.02 to go to California. $1.74 Colorado. There you go. $2.12 to go northeast. Now they're paying okay to go northeast. This one's $1.91 to go to Uxbridge. So let's click on this one. Here's the problem with this load. Picks up a 10. 14,000 pounds. That's good. Tolls, $155. As you can see, my profit per day is $345. My cost per day is $358. So is this a good load? And you're going to be under it for, 22 hours. So that burns your 70 up a little bit. I'd put that broker on my do not call list for shady techniques. Yes. That's the thing with my experience is I can look at a low board and like eliminate like half the loads right then and there off the top. And my experience, like I know how to deal with the USA. I know how to deal with England. I haven't worked with Manco, so I'd be very cautious about this load. Direct Connect I've worked with. Circle I've worked with. HTS I've worked with. Ryder I haven't worked with yet. Triple T I haven't worked with yet. PLS I've tried to work with, but they're not. Whoever's in charge of the St. Charles stuff does not want to deal with me for some reason. Fifth Wheel Freight, I think I've worked with them. But I don't sit there and use 30 brokers a week. Because I'm trying to create consistency. I'm trying to create a lane. I'm trying to create a rhythm, a pattern. Because some of you. Josh says 3 p.m. on a Friday may pay well too, but the risk of not finding anything is real high. There was a time where the 3 o'clock shuffle was a strong tactic, especially on a Friday. But man, you practically got to be glued to the low board and refreshing every 5 seconds. And I'll give you an example. So let's go to DAT. Now, the 1, 2, 3 automatically populates, right? So when a load is added. So let's go back to my Springfield to Anywhere search. And you'll see loads remove themselves and you'll see loads added. So if we sort this by age, it's down to the second. Like this one was posted 53 seconds ago. Kansas City to San Diego. No rate posted. With no rate posted, they want you to price it. or it gives you the opportunity to price it. They're not setting the acre first. And then, I can leave this on and you'll see a load posted. It'll just show up. DAT, you got to refresh, right? So you have these notification bells, and I can turn on these bells for an audible notification. Like, here we go, 3 loads added. So what I look for is I refresh, and then within 5 minutes, 30 loads are posted, but the number doesn't fluctuate a whole lot. So that tells me that people are refreshing, trying to get themselves on top of the list. And so when you look at that, when I see a lot of activity, that's a good sign, right? Like just in the time we've been sitting here talking, we're already at 6 loads posted for Tulsa and Anywhere. And that was my search yesterday. And so what you do, you hit refresh. Here we go. Gravett, Arkansas to Gainesville, Georgia. They're at 201 a mile. 17,000 pounds. We click on that load. Easy, light load, no touch. First come, first serve on ends, ready now. So they're desperate to move this. Now, with them saying easy, light load, no touch, first come, first serve, that means that they're going to want to be a little, they're using that as a selling tactic. Like, hey, this load's easy, man, so you'll do it for $100 less, which some people would. Right now they're at 16. 15-day on this is 1743. So it goes anywhere from 2 to 219 a mile. So they're not far off. Lots of bikes heading north on 29. Me either, kind of threw me off. Yeah, that's not their usual thing. I think my bidding may have been what got me kicked off of JB Hunt. JB Hunt did something where you have to have a passcode or some kind of biometric on your phone, and they will not let you log into the computer. If they will let you log in with the computer, someone let me know how that's done, because I have not been able to do it. It automatically goes to error when I try to log in on the computer. So they've really cracked down on their security. Meanwhile, everybody else like C.H. Robinson, Coyote are, you log in and then they have to send you a code either by phone or by email. And I don't know why JB Hunt just can't do that. Gary said, I went and did my pre-employment drug test. The facility I was sent to doesn't have receptionists. They have kiosks to check in. That barcode should work then. Barcode or the number. I've dealt with that before. It shouldn't be a big deal. To quote my former boss, I'll go broke with the truck sitting on the yard, then riding up and down the road. And a lot of people do. Sterling with the super chat, 53 Reefer, Yakima, Washington, 200 mile anywhere. We can do that. Give me a minute. So we either need half as many trucks or the population to double. We do not need the population to double, Marty. I'm currently heading to Tacoma. I enjoy self-abuse. Romeland, good morning. Is there a broker named Spot? Yes. They have their own platform. They have their own low board, and I actually do pretty okay with them. So if you can catch them on the right moment. Here, I'll show you guys. Let me see if I can get their low board up here. I got to be careful because some of our information is on here, and I don't want that. So we'll go to low board. This is what their low board looks like. Very similar to what JB Hunt. JB Hunt's looks like this now. And it's the same technology. So you can click on your city, and then you can also put the search up here. So let's say they've got 45 loads right out of St. Louis. So let's click on that. Oops. And then it goes by date. You know, they've only got one today out of St. Louis to Enid, Oklahoma. Then tomorrow they got something going to Menominee. And then Sunday they got something going to Houston. And then Sunday, St. Louis to Schofield, Wisconsin. That's probably going to be beer. They have a lot of the beer loads out of Budweiser. So, but I like their low board. And what they'll do is if you put in a bid, they will call you. You know, they don't do the back and forth for 10 years. They don't do that crap, which is nice. See, I'll give you guys a tip. Pay attention to ISPS loads. They bounce between brokers, but I hauled one load for $1,500, Hazelwood, Missouri to Omaha, Nebraska, about a month ago through CHR. USPS. Yeah, and look, post office and UPS should start increasing as we get closer to the holidays. So I know that a lot of post office and UPS loads are being quoted right now. Lanes, not loads, but lanes. Yeah, I imagine you got to be screened. I've done them as a company driver, but you know, the broker gets screening, right? I was not. Mine was through a broker though. Red Lady, good morning. The real RD. Who's low board? My low board. All right. Spot isn't accepting carriers currently. Tried booking a spot load a few weeks ago. Wow. Yeah, they're being picky, man. These brokers are being picky. So let's take a look at. Let's put this back on Van. Oh yeah, super chat. So he wants me to find. You know, I bet you I still got Yakima from last time. No, I cleared it. I think Sterling's ready to. He's getting ready to pounce. We'll do any date. Let's do reefer. And search. Coyote is preparing for peak season, yes. Kind of sounds like Spot is kind of like Uber Freight. Yes and no. I mean, look, all these brokerages pretty much have platforms. I called, you know, Sage talked about this. I called a load yesterday. And you know how sometimes you have to call your bank or you call your credit card company or you call your cable provider or internet provider and there's a human sounding robot voice. I actually encountered that yesterday with the brokerage. And once it was kind of nice because once this AI person started telling me details, it didn't work, so I just hung up. You don't want to be rude like that to a real person, but it's all automated. I mean, Gary, it's not that Spot is like Uber Freight. It's that Uber Freight has kind of created this platform of, because let's think about it. If you're doing nothing but booking on these clicking, I mean, you can book now on Spot, but it's no different than, you can call, you can barter back and forth with them. You can, on the load, it'll give you the email and the phone number of the person. So, I mean, you actually talk to a human, whereas Uber is a little bit more of a challenge to talk to a human. Your low board. What are you talking about, Willis? Talking about low boards, man. We were just talking about Spot. I've talked about 123-48065 for that code. If you want to try my code, try it free for 30 days. And then we're also talk about DAT. I use all of them. Look, see, 3 loads just got posted. So, and I didn't even have to hit refresh. That's kind of nice. So Edge Logistics has obviously either they posted it 3 times or they got 3 different loads. Tacoma to Troutdale, Oregon. No price. Now, this is always a good sign when you don't see a whole lot of posted rates with the newest postings. They're looking for that person that's willing to bid it for $1,000 or less, like the dude I dealt with yesterday. Now, if you sort this by highest rate to see what potentially you can make on the long haul stuff coming out, let's take a look at that. $6,000 to go from Pasco to Connecticut. Let's see what our net is going to be on that. What's up, STTN? RD says Uber is even more of a challenge to talk to than a human that speaks English. And look, you're going to start seeing, instead of outsourcing, you're going to talk to a robot. And they're making the voices very realistic. Like, I could have been fooled easily. So they're at 68. Raycheck's got it 72. Cargo Chief's got it 62. 52 hours. So let's see what our net is, right? Toll cost is $206, not to mention the Connecticut tax, road tax, or whatever they got going on. So you tend to net $1.16 a mile, $31.72 after fuel and carrier's cut, which is how I've got this set up. 20% dispatch fee. You can call any whatever you want. You can put in other fees if you want. But now, if my cost with a reefer would be $358 a day, this would be a profitable load, although it would kill my whole week. So 68 divided by, 6 days of running, do the math on that. Probably 7. Yeah, 577 a day. A lot of people need 700 a day to survive right now. And so would this be a good load? Maybe. Maybe not. Depends on what you got going into Washington. $220 a mile to go into the Bronx from Washington. Let me check this email real quick. All right. Good deal. Truck is loaded. And the driver emailed the broker, and he's good to go. $1.82. Now, these are reefer rates. If these are van rates, I'd be ecstatic. But these are reefer rates, so. Reefer does better out of Washington than van does. Here, and I'll prove it. Let's do the same search, but with van. What's the highest paying load coming out of Washington in van? $4,000 instead of $6,800. $1.72 a mile. It's actually better than I thought coming out of Oregon going all the way to Mississippi. $1.55 to go to New Jersey. Let's take a look at that one. But is it a real load? That's the problem I had with 1, 2, 3. The loads weren't real. These are, no load no longer available. They all do that. The only ones that don't do that is the direct brokerages, apps, and or load boards themselves. I mean, how many times we could do that with DAT right now? Suntex got Enola to Ardmore posted 3 times. ODW's got this load posted twice. TQL, which we all know how they are. BMM, they've got this load posted twice. Joplin to Houston. And if I sort this by highest rate, that's where you really see. Okay, so check this out. This is that load I was telling you about yesterday, Muskogee to Harrison, New York. They're at $228 a mile with 3 stops, one in Philly, one in the Bronx, and the other one and the third one in Harrison. They're having trouble moving this because the 15-day on just a one and done is $35.47. And so what I can do is I go to 123. So Muskogee to Harrison, New York. So I go to 123, go to market rates, which is my favorite tool on here. To Harrison, New York. They're at 36.22. DAT's got this at 35, right? Let's see where Cargo Chief's got it at 33. So that means people are going a little bit below. So with Cargo Chief being at 33 and this load posted at 32, but let's look at the tolls. $376 in tolls. Your fuel cost, your estimated fuel at 6 miles per gallon, but if your RD it's 5, it's going to be $8.83. $13.87 on the miles, but this is just a one and done. So on this trip, how many more miles are added to the trip? So they might show $2.28 a mile, but in reality, it might be $2 a mile after all the stops and the time. The time is important as well. They're having trouble moving this load. And they're going to have to pay a pretty good penny or find somebody that lives in the area that's willing to go home with this load. Anybody got experience with International A26? I got a friend needing an in-frame on his Detroit. I told him look at a used truck before doing in-frame. Trucks are cheap right now. Chief Freight, if you want to call me later, we have several A26s in the fleet now. That's what Jeff's been getting for the lease trucks. So, except for Shannon. Shannon's has got the Cummins, but the others have been A26s. Or call Jeff if you got his number. But, I mean, I can tell you what we've dealt with. And the only thing that I've seen is they all show an abnormal rate on the LD. That's it. They've been doing pretty good. So, anyways, let's go back to load availability. We looked at, thanks for the super chat, Sterling. We looked at Sterling's freight. But big significant difference between reefer and van, obviously. So whenever I see that they're not paying to go into Arizona, that means that they're paying better to come out of Arizona. So let's take a look at that. Just like California, they're not paying to go into California. So are they paying out? Does it justify the cost of going in? So let's sort this by highest rate. $2.12 to go to Hayden City, Florida, out of Tolleson. $1.97. So one of the things I like is I can sit there and take a glance of what's coming out of Arizona. $1.97, $1.95, $1.75, $2.73 go up to Washington. So your best paying lane is going up to Washington. Yep, $2.38 to go to Washington. $1.82, $1.45, $1.45 to go to Portland. Wow. No. $4.03 to go to Colorado. $3,100. That's an easy 770 miles. Phoenix to Kent, $2.23. So your best paying lane. So if you want to go Midwest, you're looking at $1.60s, $1.80s, $1.50s to go to Michigan. All right, so let's go the inbound to Arizona. What is that paying? $1.38, $1.51, $1.53, $1.57, $1.24. Like Chester, Pennsylvania to Buckeye, Arizona, $1.24 a mile. Picks up today, 3 o'clock, 77 below my cost per day. So if I lived in Arizona and wanted to go home, I'm going to two-step it because I'm going to take a hit if I just grab one load. I would do PA to Kentucky, Kentucky to Missouri, Missouri to Arizona. And you're going to make a little bit more money. Maybe add another day to the trip. Or I would do PA to Memphis, Memphis to Missouri, Missouri to Arizona. Why? Because there's steady loads of Joplin to Phoenix all day and every day with 2 or 3 brokers that I use. If I was coming out of Florida to Memphis, Memphis to Missouri, Missouri back to Phoenix. Strategies. $1.73, $1.50, $1.50. So they're not paying. Like here's Hazel Township to Goodyear, Arizona, $1.18 a mile. $1.54 out of Wisconsin. $1.33 to come out of Georgia. So unless I lived in Arizona, I would probably avoid trying to go there because, or you know, the other thing you would do is highest paying load from anywhere going to Colorado, and then Colorado take your hit going to Phoenix. That's what I would do. Also, that's another avenue. Let's look at California. There was a time, RD, where I can get a decent paying load going into Arizona, but it never justified the cost coming out. Now it's turned into the new Texas. For a while, it was the new California. They weren't paying you to go in at all, but you were getting a decent rate coming out of Arizona. Arizona's like the rotten stepchild that, you know, what are they going to do next? It's not a predictable market here lately. For a while it was. So, and that's the other thing. So you go to these tools, right? So let's go to market rates, right? So let's do Phoenix to LA. Actually, let's do Phoenix to oops, no, not Phoenix, New York. Let's do Phoenix to Seattle. Great. 4154. This is for van. You got 3 loads on this direction, 2 loads in the other direction. 3648 is the going rate right now, according to Cargo Chief. So we flip that. Seattle to Phoenix. Look how much lower it is. $19.38. $1.37. So let's do this. Let's do Nevada. Let's do Reno to Phoenix. 17.16 on the spot rate. Let's see what Cargo Chief's not too far off. 17.10. Now let's flip this around. Cargo Chief's got it at 19.24. Green Screens has got it between 14.90 and 18.60. So a little bit more volatile, but you're getting $1.83 a mile. So my thing is, if you can go back and forth between Phoenix and Nevada, you might do better than trying to go all the way up to Washington and come all the way back if you got to run that west stuff. So let's do Dallas, right? Let's say that you don't want to run the mountains in the west. So let's do Dallas, Texas. Phoenix to Dallas, get rate. $23.34. So if we reverse this, Dallas to Phoenix, a little bit lower. $17.10. $1.68. Now let's do this Atlanta. Phoenix to Atlanta. 40.26. We reverse it. It's going to be half that, I bet. No? A little bit. But see, this might be skewed a little bit because Georgia took a nosedive very quickly. It was not gradual. It was like, boom. Boom. I know that was dumb, wasn't it? I did okay getting Arizona last week. Went South Carolina to Georgia, Utah, and then Vegas to Phoenix. Yep. Two-stepped it. And that's the thing. That's the only bad part. All these lanes, there wasn't much back and forth. So these pickup location loads and backhaul loads, this tool is really good too. And then you kind of go back in the history over the years and see how volatile this market's been. And this is why your costs have to be, down. So. Oh, WCF Invader, always giving me the compliments. Thank you. I appreciate it. Someone must have people promoting his services, LOL. I don't know about that. Let's go to reefer. Let's see what the reefer markets are looking like. It's going to look like a checkerboard. Yep. Idaho's green. Let's take a look at Idaho. Idaho Falls to Topeka, $2.39 a mile, $2,700. Let's sort this by highest rate. $64.50 to go out to Connecticut. $274 to go to Mass. $245 to go to PA. And you can see how often, Worldwide obviously has one on the 3rd, one on the 5th, something on the 7th. That's the other thing. You can kind of look to see who's got a lot of the projected freight for the next month with this tool as well. Yukon, what's up? Hey, Yukon, have you heard Holy Name yet? I know you're into the Christian metal. You ought to give them a listen, man. They're great. Lance, is there any heat map anywhere that gives smaller areas? Let's say Oklahoma has more than one area since Oklahoma City is cold in Tulsa. Yeah, the DAT will break it down, but mine won't because you got to pay the $200 a month for that tool. It'll do it by the market, not by the state. But what you can do to kind of compensate for that is you can kind of click on a state and you can kind of look at the areas, like a lot of St. Louis, St. Joseph, so Kansas City, Carthage, Springfield. In Oklahoma, yeah, Oklahoma's kind of bipolar. 1 minute, Tulsa's better than Oklahoma City, and, Oklahoma City is kind of a weird no man's land You're either doing like Ardmore and getting in the Dallas market, or you're doing Tulsa and getting into the Joplin market. So the other markets around it can soften it. Like if you go to flatbed, no, not flatbed. Let's go back to van. As you can see, Georgia's green, but South Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi's crashed. That Mississippi was one of the hottest markets for a minute. And then Arkansas's cooled down, but I'm still seeing good volumes out of Arkansas. So I haven't had to fight. And so if you go to Tulsa, you're actually tapping into southeast Kansas, southwest Missouri, and northwest Arkansas. You're kind of getting this area. Whereas Oklahoma City, you're kind of just getting Oklahoma. And then, if you're in Ardmore, you're getting the Dallas market through here. So, just knowing those things. St. Louis, most of your stuff is going to be, Illinois, most of your stuff's going to be around St. Louis or Chicago, obviously. Once you get south of I-64, it's kind of no man's land in Illinois. And you can kind of see that here. And then Michigan. Grand Rapids area, like once you get north of where the thumb is, where the line where you're of the mitten, it's a little bit harder. You're going to deadhead to either Detroit or Grand Rapids or Lansing areas. Yukon, I highly recommend them. I agree. WCF Snorelord and stuff. I asked them to dispatch me, but I'm super hard to work with. Yukon says, "Did you know that Paulie from The Last Horizon in Syracuse back in your early metal days?" No. Nope. So, anyways, that's it for today. Let's look at flatbed real quick. We did look at reefer earlier. Step deck and flatbed. It's almost redundant. It's the same stuff. A lot of red and yellow. Green in the south. I-20 and I-40 is your friend in flatbed. Maybe up and down to Ohio, to Georgia and back. Let's take a look at what's coming out of Georgia on flatbed. Georgia, Arizona, Washington. So some of this flatbed stuff. So if we do rate per mile, let's look at us as our short haul stuff or the specialized. Had Georgia to Florida, Georgia to Virginia. Less than a day's drive for $26.50. 131 miles for $550. Know about that. $1,000 for Georgia to Florida. $2,300 to go from Georgia to Virginia. $900. Talk them up to $1,000. Puller to North Carolina. Georgia to Tennessee, $1,000. So if we click on that one, and then let's look at the back hauls. It's a forklift. What's the back haul look like? 76 loads coming out of Clarksville going anywhere. 13 going right back to Georgia, Kennesaw, Georgia. He was a hell of a promoter. He passed. Thought maybe work with him. I did dozens of shows there, but no, we never. I never did a tour. I think the most we did was a full weekend of 3 dates in a row, and that was it. I never got the tour. And when I was a promoter myself, I never really. I think probably the most signed band I've got was Origin. I got them in, but we opened up for a lot of signed bands. But the only band that I was able to bring in as a promoter was Origin, and they're kind of a big deal in their little death metal circle. So, all right, guys, I'm out of here. Holy Name, check it out, Yukon. There's a great video, Initiation Live in Chicago. Listen to that; it's pretty good. So, anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Strength for today, over tomorrow. Hopefully next week will be a better week. I expect rates to come up a little bit next week. I really do. And I expect volumes to come up. So we'll see what happens, all right? So with that being said, strength for today, hope for tomorrow, and yeah, you'll be all right. Be smart. See ya.